Greetings is an honor to be with you today. And today the title is Fruits of the Flesh. And today we're talking about the fruit Heady. All right, Galatians 5:19 says, now the works of the flesh are manifest. So in other words, the works of the flesh or the spirits at work in Galatians 5 are manifest. And we know this by the fruit that they produce. Now let's get this principle under wraps. The spirits or works of Galatians 5 produce the fruit of 2 Timothy 3. So when you see 2 Timothy 3, see it as a revelation of the fruit that are as a result of the works or the spirits at work in Galatians 5. All right, so 2 Timothy 3, 1-4 says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves. How do we prove this by a fruit? The fruit here is heady. So what does it mean to be heady? Someone who is rash, reckless, and headstrong. Let's take a moment there. Rash, reckless, and headstrong. Know anybody that fits the bill? All right. Let's look at 1 Peter 4, 3-5. It says, for the time past of our life may suffice us, to have wrought the will of the Gentiles, when we walk in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries, wherein they think it strange that ye run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you, who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead. Now this is an interesting passage, because obviously the apostle is talking about the time past of partying and banqueting and bashments. And he's saying, look here, there was a time that was us, right? And now we don't cater to that lust any longer. We don't need that, right? But there are people who are going to look at us and say, who do you think you are? Remember when you used to? And they're going to feel a way about you because you don't want to partake any longer. All right? But we've got to understand something. That God has called us to a higher call. And there's nothing wrong with a party or having a good time. I don't want to come off like that. But there is such a thing as overkill. The language of the scripture says excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, abominable idolatries. All right, so it's telling us that there is a point where we all know when it's too much. We all know when we need to dial it back. There's some things we shouldn't be doing, partaking in. And we know it has gone viral. That certain entertainer, he had parties and then he had the after parties. And you know, a very famous entertainer that has gone viral, and he's going to a bunch of litigation. And it is allegedly that he had parties and after parties and all that type of thing. So naturally we know, okay, I'm gonna chill at the party. I'm not doing the after party, because on the after party things go to another level. And we've got to understand that when we come to God, it's expected that we go to another level. There's some things that we've got to leave in the back of us, behind us, because that was the time past. Now we've got to become more spiritually inclined and understand that we have a purpose to be godly and to walk in holiness. We're trying to steer people away from the gates of hell. This type of blind excess of revelings and banquetings and these idolatries that we engage in are only going to push us further away from God. And we don't need anything to help us to miss God. We've got to abandon headiness. This is a spirit at work, and we've got to see it as a spirit. There are some people that feel there's nothing wrong with the excess, but you've got to understand what are you looking to gain? What do you think is going to happen? There are so many people that have been damaged by this viral thing that I was telling you about, and when they look back at it, this was not what they signed up for. And we've got to be careful that we steward our bodies, that we steward our minds, because there's a price to pay even after the physical part of this thing is done. There's still emotional and psychological damage that we got to deal with. But we've got to make choices that are godly and that are wholesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us rebuke that heady spirit.